There's a hair sitting in an envelope at Columbia University. One strand. Not a full head, one single hair mailed in by its owner. Look at it closely and it does something hair isn't supposed to do. Near the tip, dark. Then moving down the shaft, a stretch of pure white. Then dark again. Same strand. Same follicle. Same person. Hair goes one direction. Color fades to gray, and that's supposed to be the end of the story. No reverse gear. This one reversed. Twice in a matter of months. Nobody dyed it. Nobody treated it. Somewhere inside this person, something switched pigment off mid-strand and then switched it back on. Most people assume gray hair works like an odometer. It only goes one way. Genetics set the number, age ticks it forward, done. That hair, and others like it, mailed in from people who'd noticed the same streaking, is why researchers at Columbia University stopped assuming that. They lined each hair up next to something else, a simple chart filled out by hand, marking the most and least stressful weeks of that person's year. Peaks and valleys month by month. Then they matched the chart to the hair. The color change lined up with the stress, almost exactly. Not roughly. Almost exactly down to which weeks were worst. This came from a physical object. A hair someone could hold, carrying a timestamp of something happening inside their body, days or weeks before anyone thought to look for it. You can't see this happening to you right now, but somewhere in your body, a running decision is already being made about what gets maintained this week and what gets left alone. Pigment, it turns out, is near the bottom of that list. Every hair on your head depends on cells at the root that keep it supplied. Whatever tells those cells to slow down isn't rare. It's just usually invisible. The follicle isn't dying. It's being deprioritized. Here's what that actually looks like on the inside. Every strand of hair gets its color from a small population of cells living at the very root of the follicle, pigment cells. They don't do their job once and stop. They have to be restocked, batch after batch, for as long as that hair keeps growing, the same way a print shop has to keep refilling ink instead of printing once and calling it done. Under a real stretch of pressure, weeks of it, not years, that restocking slows down. Picture the root under a microscope during that stretch. The machinery for making pigment is still sitting there, like a factory that hasn't shut off the lights, just idled the production line. The hair itself doesn't stop growing. It grows at exactly the same rate it always has. Length was never the issue. It's the batch of cells responsible for color that gets quietly told to wait. Not every hair on the head does this on the same schedule. Different follicles respond on different timelines, which is why new graying so often looks patchy instead of uniform. Researchers have measured this shift taking hold in a matter of weeks, fast enough to line up against a single hard month, not a slow decade. The hair doesn't stop. It just stops being colored. But a cell doesn't decide to idle on its own. Something upstream has to send that instruction. The message doesn't start in the hair. It starts in the blood. Under sustained stress, your body releases a specific protein into your bloodstream, one that isn't there to hurt you. It's there to report. Picture a single gauge sitting in the dark at the base of your skull, with nobody standing in front of it except one small structure whose only job is to read it. That protein travels there, to a small ancient region of the brainstem built to monitor the rest of the body. Not thoughts, not feelings. Raw numbers, how much is in reserve, what's running low. When that protein shows up in high enough amounts, the needle moves. The region reads one thing: energy is short. It doesn't ask why. It doesn't check whether the shortage is real or just 3 stressful weeks at work. It responds the same way it would if you were actually running out of fuel, because as far as it can tell from where it's sitting, you are. Same alarm. Different actual emergency. Cortisol is the hormone most people already know. This is different. Cortisol tells your body something threatening is happening. This protein tells your body management something more specific. Whatever reserves you have, they don't stretch as far as they did last month. Once that message lands, a decision has to be made, and made fast. Not every repair job gets funded equally. Once the body registers a shortage, it runs the same kind of ranking a stretched household budget runs: what has to happen this week and what can wait. Picture a dashboard lighting up in 3 places at once: immune defense, muscle readiness, attention on the perceived problem, while a 4th light, the one marked pigment, just goes dark. Immune defense stays funded. So does whatever's driving the actual stress response. Those are treated as non-negotiable, not pigment. Cosmetic upkeep sits at the bottom of that list, the kind of maintenance nobody's life depends on. Pigment production inside a hair follicle is about as cosmetic as maintenance gets. It doesn't defend against anything. It doesn't help you think faster. It doesn't help you move quicker. This is the same ranking system your body has been running for longer than it's had a calendar to check against. So when the budget tightens, it's one of the first line items cut. Not out of malice, out of priority. And the hair isn't the only place this shows up. Picture that same gauge reading low, but this time nobody's looking at a hair follicle. They're looking at a waistline that grew during a stretch when nothing about the diet changed. That same signal has been tracked to fat storage patterns like that one. In a 14-year study following over 100,000 people, higher levels of it also lined up with higher rates of mood disorders and heart disease down the road. There's one more detail. The reversal has a window. Catch it early enough and pigment production comes back once the pressure lifts, the same way that strand in the envelope did. Leave the same follicle under that kind of pressure for years instead of weeks, and the window narrows. Eventually, it closes for good. So here's the full picture. Your hair color runs on the same kind of budget as everything else your body maintains. Funded or cut week to week, based on a signal in your blood. A small region in your brainstem reads that signal like a gauge. That region has never seen your calendar, and it never will. It doesn't know your job, your relationship, or your actual level of danger. It only sees the numbers. And when the numbers say short, something has to be cut. Pigment is cheap to cut. It costs nothing to lose and nothing to restore, which is exactly why it's one of the first things to go, and if caught early, one of the first things to come back. The same signal pulling funding from your hair follicles is pulling funding from other places too. Places you can't check in a mirror. The hair is just the version you can actually look at weeks before anything else would show up. So the next time you notice a cluster of new grays, not the slow one-at-a-time kind, but a handful all at once after a genuinely hard stretch, that's not a countdown that just started. It's a receipt. Proof that somewhere in the last few weeks your body ran the numbers, decided the budget was tight, and cut the cheapest thing on the list. Don't go looking for the strand with 2 colors on it. That takes lab equipment most people don't have lying around. But the timing still holds. Count backward. What was happening a few weeks before those grays showed up? Whatever it was, that's what your body was actually responding to. The hair just arrived a little late to tell you. For years, gray hair reads as an ending, proof that something in you has stopped. But the system deciding that is still running. Still deciding in real time what's worth protecting first. That list is thousands of years old. It was never updated for a kind of stress that lasts months instead of minutes.